Hey, ladies.
Hey.
Hey, here we are, episode 21. Can you believe we are in November?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my
Best
goodness.
month of the year, right,
I
Sean?
know.
It is the
I look
best
at
month
you
of the
too.
year. I'm so
Oh,
glad you
yes.
recognize that, Jeanette.
We have a couple of birthdays this month, ladies and gentlemen. In case you all did not know.
Shauna's birthday was yesterday.
Yes, yes,
22nd.
yes.
Whoop.
Jeanette's is coming up. It's so cool.
27th.
Wow, how the
Yes.
5 days apart. So I really am the middle child in this scenario, situational thing here.
Yep.
Very cool.
You
Very
need that,
cool.
Linda. You keep us balanced.
I try. This awesome. I love being in this middle space, especially being the older child. I get to be like, well, I don't know what happened. Y'all, I'm the middle child. What y'all want me to do? Spend all my life
Exactly.
growing up as the oldest. So shout out to my sister Sherry for that. Like, no, I'm good now. This is perfect. Yes. So, yes, as I mentioned, this is episode 21. We are winding down the year. This is amazing. So good to see you all and hear everybody's feedback. We just love it, love it, love it. So, today's topic is something's quick, simple, easy, the power of no. What else can we say? I'm looking at Shauna.
There you go. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen.
Have a great day. Thank you for coming out.
Arrivederci, baby.
What's my boy? Thank you for coming out. God
Yes,
bless.
thank you for coming out. Good night. I need to practice that.
Russell
Yeah.
Simmons.
For sure. Shout out to Russell Simmons on that.
Yes.
So the power of no. How do you know when you should say no? What is it? A feeling? Is it a trigger? Is it just you hit a wall, which we hope we all don't do? What is that? What do you think of, or what resonates with you when you hear that you should say no to stuff?
So for me, I'm gonna say it hasn't always been an easy thing to do. And I think we can probably get into other parts of this later, but at least not being able to say no without giving a full explanation, right? But I recognize it more now, like after the fact, like when I'm complaining about something, I'm like, see, then you should have probably said no, because if you would have said no, you wouldn't be complaining about the fact that you got to go do something that you committed to. But yeah, I have to learn how to just be a little less, what's the word? I have to think about it a little bit, allow myself to say, oh, let me get back to you.
Right. Yeah, that's hard though. I mean, yeah, I feel like I overcommit to stuff, and because I'm afraid to say yeah, I'm afraid to say no. And if I say yes, I think I feel better, but then I'm stretched so thin. And then what's left, right? You frustration, you mad because you said yes instead of no. And there's a way to say no. It doesn't always have to be bad. I think we're taught, oh, it's either yes or no. And it's not always like that. Shauna, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
This is hard. This is hard. Growing up, I I was the girl that never wanted to hurt anyone's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So it took me some time to come into my own of understanding the power of saying no and really understanding that um, I'm really saying yes to something else. But you don't, sometimes I would overcommit myself, like you said, Linda, just to please that person and to please myself in that moment, you
Right.
know, and then just not really understanding that here I go again, taking away from myself. And then you just become so conditioned to it that you just are constantly saying yes and overcommitting yourself to extra projects or whatever you're involved in with others, And it could just be as simple as somebody wants to go have coffee with you every week, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to, but you've committed yourself. So now you feel obligated to do this, and it's not something that you want to do, anymore. And you feel like you could use that time for, something else or whatever the reasons are.
Mhm.
So it's really not an easy thing to do. I think it's more of retraining ourselves, like you were saying.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I always felt the need that when I say no, or when I said no, I'm a little less like this now, but I still find myself sort of catching myself that I feel like I have to explain the heck out of why I said no, of feelings, whether it's feelings of guilt or whether it's feelings of, oh, I'm going to disappoint this person, or fear of missing out, the whole FOMO thing. So those are like my top 3 things. Still working on it. Gotten better, but still working on it.
That fear of missing out, that's a big one. I think that's a lot of the reason why a lot of people don't say no to things, because they feel like, oh, I'm gonna miss out if I don't say yes to this. It kind of goes back to the episode on staying in your lane, because now you then took your eye off of what it is that you need to be doing, or what your priorities are, or what your values are, even to commit to something that you really don't even want to do.
Right.
You can feel it too.
Yeah.
When it's something that you're not into, like you can feel it, like, oh yeah, and then like 2 seconds later, you're like, not have said it. No, I should not have said yes to that.
Yeah, sort of like you catch yourself, right? You're like, you're snapping your fingers, you're knocking yourself upside the head. You're like, oh, this is not my thing, but I'm here to support this person. And you can still be supportive. I think we talked about that in an earlier episode. There are ways to support your friends, your family, without being unsupportive of what you want to do, and not always being that yes person. You can look me up in a dictionary and be like, yeah, that's me, the yes person. And now it's kind of more balanced, a whole lot more balanced. But I can't say that I still don't feel those feelings of guilt when I do say no. So it's definitely something to work on.
Yeah. And I think our bodies, our mind, our soul will let us know when we've overcommitted ourselves, or, oh man, I did it again. Say you've done it, and then you're like, okay, I got to go through with it. I'm a woman or a man of my word. I got to do what I got to do. And then you realize next time this comes along, I'm going to choose myself. But then you lean back into old habits. So it's like, how do you get away from that? Like, how do you move away from that? How do you really get to a point where you understand what you need for yourself? Because essentially it's self-care,
Yeah, I think it's saying yes to more things that serve you, whether it be, yep, I'm staying home on a Sunday now. I'm not going to rip and run and go and do all these different other things. And I think part of it too, we've been kind of forced to sit down and look at all of this. So that part too, we've been forced to stay home. We're in the midst of the pandemic and other things going on, that it has caused us to look more inward at ourselves. So we can't overcommit to certain things. We have to say no, because we can't go out. Should it have taken something like this to happen for us to get to that point? Probably not. But I do believe, and like Shauna says, it's a lot like the universe sort of resets us, and we get reset. We reset ourselves, right? And I think that's a key part of this too, while we're examining this topic and bringing it forward. For our listeners to also weigh in. I'm curious to hear what you all think too. Where were you a year ago versus where you are now? What are you saying no to now that you may have not said no to a year ago, and vice versa? So is it more you're saying yes to yourself, and then you recognize the power of no? So that was one of the questions I wanted to throw out there to you ladies. What do you think about that?
Well, before, to your point, Linda, what you were saying before that was just like realizing now, like, that you don't have to do so much, or you don't always have to be gone. I think that's going to help a lot of people realize that they can say no to more, and help them figure out what they really value, right? Where they want to really spend their time and put their effort, whether it's more time with their family, spouse, or friends, or whatever the case may be. Because, we were running around like chickens with our head cut off, because we didn't think, oh, I don't have time to do this or that or that.
Right.
So all the things. And then it was just like, now sit down. Now what do you really have time to do?
Yeah.
So it's really important.
Yeah. What was your question, Linda? Got your question. What was your
question?
Oh,
no, it's all right. No, so I'm saying, what do you think about, like, is it more of a choice of where we are now in life, things that you might have said yes to before, but you're saying no to now, or vice versa? Because maybe you said no to some things that you should have said yes to. And I think I was thinking about this question, and just curious to hear what you ladies think, because I'm like, oh yeah, I could have said yes to that a year ago, but I chose no, and then vice versa, right? And it affected me in some adverse way. I was thinking about that. I was like, wow, just going through my mind and again, being forced to sit down and actually face this. Like, yeah, that the no might have been powerful then, or is it more powerful now because I'm making decisions based on the things that I want to do.
Yeah,
And
and I think that's and before we start talking, Shauna had mentioned Shonda Rhimes' A Year of Yes. And
mm-hmm,
when you think about it, it wasn't so much that she was having, when you read it, you thinking that it's just, oh, I need to say yes to more things and then do more things, but it was actually kind of what you said, Linda, where some of it was saying no instead of saying yes, or saying no to yourself on certain things, or yes to yourself on other things. I feel like my husband's a perfect example of like how the times have made him realize like, oh, I probably should stop saying no to going out with my friends. Always like, nah, I'm staying home. Nope, I'm good. Nah, I'm not going nowhere.
Mhm.
So like it was like a meme, and it was just like, I promise when the pandemic is over, if you ask me to come somewhere, I'm actually going to show up.
right.
I saw that.
Yeah,
So, where you were saying constantly no to your friends and you thought you were choosing yourself, but then you realize like, dang, I really missed out, because what if I don't ever get that opportunity back again, right?
right, right.
So
And I
now
saw
you're,
another meme that was similar to that. Like your parents, we were growing up, get your butts in this house. Outside ain't going nowhere. Now look, outside gone. Right.
Gone
oh,
with
yes,
the
I seen
wind.
that one. Ain't no more outside. Outside is gone.
Yeah, so for sure. So yeah, so we get into, so we talked about no's, we talked about, saying yes to ourselves, but I think, the power of no is more of the topic, for this podcast episode today. So is no really a complete answer? Is it really a complete sentence?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm laughing
No.
at that.
Yes. I don't feel like you have to always give an explanation on
Ooh,
why you can't do things.
that's hard.
Now, it is hard. Well, we have to look inward, because
Mhm,
it's really not the person, place, or thing that we're saying no to. It's really, if we're bothered by it, or we have a struggle about it, which I do, I'm very guilty at it, then there's some things inward that I have to strengthen, or I have to get to a certain space that maybe my lip says I believe no is a complete sentence, but my inside says no, it's really not. You really need to tell them why.
mhm.
You get caught up with that duality sometimes, with what you should do, and so yeah.
Yeah, that was Linda that you were saying that oh, I should feel on the inside. That
Oh,
was
you're
Linda.
talking about
Yeah.
me.
I was like, oh my God, that's me. So you're saying on the outside, but that little thing in you, that guilt, that's what I struggle with
Mhm.
still. Like
Mhm.
I'm gonna disappoint this person or these sets of people, but then oh, now I'm forced to sit down. So how do I get over those, or maybe not get over, but work through those feelings so that it's comfortable for me and my personality and how I deal with people. I mean, I think, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a
And you think about, why is it so easy to tell certain people no and not other
mhm,
people, right? Like,
right.
Maybe it's based on how much you like them.
That could be a reason. Yeah,
that, yes, that could be. But
yeah.
I mean, like, just even like, making commitments to yourself, and it's just like, you want to allow yourself to do something, but like when we are working traditional 9 to 5 jobs,
Mhm,
hell, rain, snow, whatever, we're getting up, we're going regardless, right? But if it's like, your good friend, you ain't seen them in years, and it's like a little chilly outside, like, oh, I just think I'm gonna stay in.
mhm,
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel
yeah,
like putting some priorities around it and really letting people know that they matter, or certain
mhm.
situations, realizing where certain things matter. Now, I'm good with telling corporate no now because I left them. But that was hard. Like, that was my priority, and I always said yes to my job. I always said yes to, oh yeah, nope, I can do that project. Yep, I can travel. Yep, I can do that. But when I realized that me saying yes to my job so much was telling my daughter, no, I can't spend time with you. No, I'm not going to be home this weekend. No, I can't do these things
There
with
we
you.
go.
Is when I had to check myself and be like, oh,
Yeah.
there's power in it both ways, right?
Hmm. Yeah. I feel like you're talking right to me. I mean, yeah, this is
Oh no,
really
Linda,
hard.
I'm
Come on,
sorry.
no,
It's like, who knew this
no.
was gonna be a Linda intervention
I
today?
know it's like we're just setting this up. But so that kind of goes to the next thing. What are some signs that indicate and like tangible things that indicate that you made the right decision by saying no? Because I admit sometimes I'm afraid to tell my job no, I'm not going to get to this project because I know I'm capable, I can do it. But it's like, oh yeah, I can do this. Yes, 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 yes. I need something, and I probably our listeners too, to say, I need something I can walk away with that's tangible that lets me know I made the right decision by saying no. I added that part on there.
Yeah, it's hard when it comes to your job. Unfortunately, work has kind of like a double standard sometimes. Sometimes they encourage you to be assertive and, and own your voice and all of these things. And the minute you do it, you're outcasted or your job might be on the line, right? So I think that's really tricky, Linda. That's a fine line. I honestly don't have an answer for that one when it comes to your job, just because we've seen examples of how that can get a little
Mhm.
sour, a sour taste sometimes, or So, what do you think, Jeanette?
Um, part like in when it comes to the job itself, and then we can talk like just in your personal life, what are like some signs that you made the right decision by saying no? But like in your 9 to 5, I think, I mean, you just have to be prepared for prepared for whichever way it goes. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
For me, when I said no, I'm not going to do this any longer, I had made a plan that I was, resigning from that job, and I was taking my daughter. I was going to move south, and I was going to do whatever I needed to do so that I could focus on her through school, right?
Mhm.
And then there's sometimes in corporate where, yeah, I told my boss like I'm not doing that, and then she'd be like, "What do you mean? Like, why do you want me to do?" Because sometimes people ask you to do stuff and they don't even know what they want, and then just looking like,
Mhm. Yeah.
like I just like, you don't even know what this report is, but you want me
Mhm.
to take extra time and send it to you, and you're not gonna do nothing with it, right?
Mhm.
So, like, I will kind of force, and it just depends on where you are and your comfort level with asserting yourself with your supervisor or your superiors or peers or whoever. But for me, also, I push it back on them too, right? Like, okay, well, you want me to do X, Y, and Z, then what's the priority? Because you've already given me 20 things. Like, I was upfront and clear when my old boss became my boss for the first time, and I told her the first time she sent me something, was like, "Hey, can you do this?" And then I'm like, "Sure." But I kept doing other stuff. And she's like, "Oh, did you get that done yet?" I'm like, "Well, you didn't give me a deadline. So
Mm.
this is the way I work. If you have something that's priority, you need to tell me what that deadline is, and then I can make it happen. Otherwise, it's going to go on the list with everything else."
Mhm.
And
That's
I mean, you don't have to be snappy about it like I am, but there's just a certain way to set. It's almost like basically setting boundaries, right? There's a
Mhm.
way to set boundaries to people and let them know. Like, I get that you have expectations, but I also have expectations of how I want to be treated at the same time. You know
Right.
what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah. I like the boundaries piece. And I think you can do that in a respectable way. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
yeah,
that's
it could, no, no is a complete sentence, yes, but setting boundaries around that and taking it forward and letting them know, hey, yep, I've got these 6 things I've got going on, whether it be projects, whether it be operational stuff, and you
mhm,
want me to do this. What are the priorities here?
right.
And it's sort
I
of
like that.
back on that person too, that supervisor, that boss, that project lead, whatever it might be.
Hmm.
And yeah, I can do this. However, this is going to be impacted.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of how my mind works. Like, because maybe because it makes me feel better doing it that way. That's not always the right way, though, y'all. I'm not saying that, but if
Hmm.
you, I mean, sometimes those saying no or saying no are uncomfortable conversations, and
Yeah.
maybe it has to get uncomfortable in
Hmm.
order for you to grow. The whole growth thing that we always talk about. So,
Yes. Yes.
But
yes, but that's growth, I think.
yeah. But when it comes to saying no and like in your personal life, like finding out, like Linda was asking, like, what's the indications that you made the right choice by saying no? Like, what are those feelings and how do you know that you made the right choice? Um, for me, like it comes down to like really going back to like what I mentioned before about like what it is that I'm being asked to do and how that aligns up with what where I want to go. Like whether it's just like saying no to my friends because I promised my husband I was going to spend more time with them, or my kids I was going to spend more time with them. I think it's just lining back up to like your core values, and in that moment, how does that fit into like what you promised yourself? Are you saying no to yourself by saying yes to somebody else?
Yeah.
Mm,
Yep. Yep. I love that. Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't, like I think you mentioned this earlier, doesn't translate as simply because people might take it a certain
Oh,
way. Like, oh shit, what do you mean no? I mean, how do you get past that as an individual? Like, how do you deal with that?
other
Like,
people's emotions.
yes. Oh man, you can carry that too. Like, no, don't
It's,
let's not do
yeah,
that.
it varies. Like Linda said, it depends on what your feelings are towards that person, right? I mean, what Shauna
Mhm.
said, it depends on what your feelings are towards that person. Like,
Right.
some people have a hard time telling their parents no. Some people have a hard time telling
Mhm.
like their siblings or,
Mhm.
no.
Mhm.
Um, like, yeah, it's you have to choose yourself. Like, you really have to like choose yourself and be okay with that. Like, because
Mhm.
is that like really how you want to feel forever? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you're beholden to somebody else, and you can that's the thing. Resentful. If you feel resentful
Mhm. Oh my
about saying
goodness.
yes to something,
Mm.
then that's a clear indicator that you probably should have told them no.
Yes. Yes. I that is the tangibleness thing.
Cause I
Yeah.
don't want
Yeah.
nobody doing something for me if I ask them to do
Yeah.
something. They're like, yeah, sure,
They,
I can do it. And then I'm over here,
they're sucking your teeth, rolling your
yeah.
eyes, all
I'm
kinds
like,
of
dude, you
stuff.
could have just told me no. I'm
Yeah.
fine. Like,
Right. I'd rather for you to tell me no. I mean, if I'm sensitive enough and I'm sad about it and cry about it for a minute, but at least I know you were honest and maybe to give me a chance to find somebody else that'll do whatever. So,
and then
yeah.
you don't want to have those feelings towards other people. Like, if
Yeah.
you or Shauna says, "Oh, Jeanette, can you do something on my site for me?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure, I can do it." And
Mhm.
then I'm over here like, I don't feel like doing this. I can't. I don't want to do this. Like
Right.
it. Now I'm having bad feelings towards you as a friend, and you don't
Mhm.
even know. And you're
Right.
like thinking everything is good, and it's just not fair to the
Mhm.
other person when you could have just been honest with them from the
Mhm.
Yeah.
beginning. And but if you are honest with them and they take it the wrong way, well, then that's their own personal issue. You can't take
Yeah.
that back on yourself. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's power in itself right there. So
Mhm.
that power, so to speak, of saying no or being able to receive that and just say, oh, okay, we're
Right.
still good. I can move on, do something else. And I think Shauna, when we were talking about this episode, when we chatted a little bit earlier, that power in being you're a happier person, maybe you're pouring more into yourself, because I know we talk about that a lot. Good self-care habits, consistency in those habits. I love all of that. So those are things, ladies and gentlemen, that you could take away from this episode and just from this conversation and conversations that you may have around this topic. There's power in all of that and how
Mhm.
you continue to pour into you. And just, if you're having that resentfulness, I like that word, that I put that down. And you're like rubbing your forehead, sweating and all that. I mean, that's like a mental health check too.
Yes, because I wanted to say one of my indicators, the biggest indicator that I have when I went a little bit too far, with not saying no or setting my boundaries,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
My body starts to react a certain way.
Mm.
My chest starts to hurt sometimes. I start to feel a little anxious around that person, situation, or thing because I haven't addressed what I needed to do for myself and I let it go so far. So it definitely can affect your health if you don't stay conscious on what your needs are. And it ties into your non-negotiables, knowing what your
Mhm.
non-negotiables are. If you know what they are, you stand firm for them, you have your boundaries in place. This doesn't happen overnight. This is and it's ongoing. You're always going to have somebody's always going to
Always
test your
gonna be
boundaries.
something.
Somebody's always going to test the boundaries.
Yeah.
Somebody's always going to think you're Mrs. Nice Girl, Mr. Nice Guy. And someone's always going to try to, take advantage. At the same time, you have to make sure that you're strong enough and firm enough within yourself to withstand any of that, because that's human nature at its best. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I deal with that all the time, and I always like, I just want this to end. Like, why do I find myself in this space every so many years or every so many months? What is it that I can do for myself to get myself in a better space so that I'm not dealing with this? Or when, if I'm approached in that way from others, that they pump their brakes immediately because they're like, oh, this is not the one,
Right,
I'm
right.
not, yeah, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, like in business, when it comes to me saying yes to things that I don't really want to say yes to, it leads to procrastination. Like I will put it off and put it off. I'm like, till last minute. And I'm like, why is it that I can't just sit down and get this done? And it's because you never really wanted to do it from the beginning, right?
Right.
Like I even like on my journey through photography, like that's like when people when new photographers come to me and they like, well, how did you figure out what type of photography you wanted to do? I'm like, because the moment I did something and after I finished doing it, I was like, oh, I don't never want to do that again. I was like, I won't be doing those type of shoots anymore. Like I don't shoot kids. I don't want to be the wedding photographer. I can assist a wedding photographer, but I don't want to be the main wedding photographer. And it's just realizing like what things just don't serve you or don't sit right or feel right for you. And like y'all said, honoring that and like, and sticking with it. But it is an ongoing, because there's going to be somebody it's going to be like, can you? And you're like, oh, for you. I mean, I
Yeah.
probably can.
You're so charming.
No, you don't want to do it. You just be like,
Right. I'm gonna do it anyway.
yeah.
Yes.
You're struggling to say no to somebody on something that you don't want to do. Then just tell them, let me get back to you, and then give yourself some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, give yourself time to process it and think about it, think it through, because sometimes we need to say yes to things when it comes to helping others. And we may not ourselves really want to do it, but deep down our intuition says, you know what, this person needs my help. I really need to be there for them, even though I don't want to. So knowing the difference between that. So just really getting in touch with your intuition and really recognizing when to say, yes or no. So.
Yeah. I love all of that. I mean, just really it's putting yourself first, but also knowing that, that part of that is your non-negotiables. I mean, I think it goes back a couple episodes ago. We talked about this, and I like that episode especially because we kind of laid the groundwork for the things that we're not going to. We're going to be a little rigid on some things, but that's okay. You have to have that, I guess, balance of sorts. But you also need to know that it's okay because none of us are perfect, right? All imperfect. Like if somebody came to me, Jeanette, and said, "Oh, and I want you to take these fabulous pictures," and if I said yes, y'all would be looking at me like, "You are
Why
not a
did you say
photographer.
yes?
Why did you say yes?" Now they come to me, they want to write a book. Oh, yeah, for sure.
When like, nope, I'm staying in my lane. I'm
Yeah,
not.
yeah, I am not a photographer, but I can tell you, I've said, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll do it," and you looking all crazy and everything. And I know that's not my zone of genius, so to speak, but not to disappoint someone. I can think of many times where I've said yes to some things that I probably should have said no. And
And it could be an ego thing too, because you don't want like your ego is like, I mean, I know I can do it. Like I'm capable of doing it. And it's just like, yeah, you can do it, but like, is that what you really should be spending your time on right now?
Right.
But and so sometimes we let our ego talk us into doing things that we probably should be like, no.
Yeah,
like,
we have
to do it.
Yeah, we have this saying at work about our systems and processes. Just because it can do that doesn't mean it should.
Like, no, that's right.
That's awesome.
I like that.
A couple of us had it taped up on our monitors for a while because people be trying to put, I don't know, counting beans and stuff in a system that doesn't even do that. It does not do that. But oh, we're just gonna build it in there. No, you're not. But it took somebody who knew enough about the systems to say, okay, just because it can do this doesn't mean we should do this in this particular system.
I like
Let's get a system that is built for that. And we run into that a lot. And it takes somebody to push back. And I can tell you from experience, I'm not the best person to do that. But yeah, but in some areas I am. But then it's like, oh, I know who will say no. Let me go get her. Because
oh yeah.
Yeah.
And if you need some help, get some backup.
Yeah,
yes.
There you go. That's another tangible thing, y'all.
Let me tell you, it's been many a day. My mama done put that on my daddy, like Dan, you know, I blamed you and told him that Dan said, no, we're not gonna do that. He was like, whatever, I don't care. As you know, I'm gonna say that. And it's funny, my dad, like the simplest no for him is so back when we had house phones. I'd be like, when I'm like, oh, phone is ringing again. I don't feel like getting up. And he was like, you ain't gotta answer. She's like, it's ringing. He's talking just because it's ringing don't mean you gotta answer it. Like his no was like, I don't care. I'm not getting up. Like he was.
No, you don't have to give a reason. No excuses.
Yeah.
No.
Get you some backup, y'all. Anybody within listening, or if you're watching the video, get you some backup. I love it.
I think quarantine is the best backup we could ever ask for.
Oh my goodness.
Like you were speaking earlier, ladies, we
Yeah.
are in a space where we actually can just wipe it clean and really, which every day you can start over. You know, I'm a firm believer on that. Right now, the boundaries, the non-negotiables, the power of saying no, all of these things can be worked on right now, and you set it up the way you want it so that your days are filled with more things you want to do happy than things that you don't want to do. You know?
And one of the ways y'all helped me was just like knowing that I was burnt out one week and like, I don't want to do this again. Like next week, I just don't want to. And telling me, well, then go ahead and block your calendar off like for next week. Because that's going to force you not to say yes, because now you don't have to worry about nobody randomly dropping stuff in on your calendar. Unfortunately, Linda doesn't work in an environment where she can, they don't care about that calendar being blocked off until next year. They're like, let's just see if we can get in there.
It's Saturday at 2:30. Like, we having a what?
Linda wake up at 6 o'clock, somebody to put something on there for 7:30. Like,
yes. Lord. Yes. And I told y'all, I think I did this on one of our earlier podcasts. I showed up and I was putting my lipstick on right on the call. I was like, you know, I'm gonna be me. And I would have never done that a year ago or even 2 years ago. But I'm like, you know, this is what y'all gonna get. Since we gotta have this meeting, you're gonna get Linda. This is what we gonna do right here. And they were cracking up. But hey, you know, hey, that's my non-negotiable.
Yeah.
I love it.
So sometimes you have to set yourself up for a successful no by walking things off and putting things in place, barriers in place. It's gonna be like, see, sorry, can't do it.
It's like,
Meh.
Oh, I gotta do my face, y'all.
Do it.
Meh.
Yes.
Meh.
Yes.
I can't remember what we were doing that on just recently. It came up
a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yes. Wow, ladies, I love this. I really love this. I mean, I think we have some pretty tangible things. You know, you don't want to be resentful. Get you some backup. I have to say that again. And putting priorities around what you say yes to. Because I think those are like three things and a bunch of other things that we talked about. And we always talk about books. Each of us love to read. We also have something very special to share with you before we get into our bonuses.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So to help you with the power of saying no and saying more yeses to yourselves, dun, 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 if you're watching the video. If you're not watching the video, run and go turn it on now. We had the Ignite Your Fuego Journal.
Yay!
And yes, boom, boom, boom.
Yes.
So for those of you who have pre-ordered, your journal will be shipped this week, and you have some special goodies in there. So you can see the back of it, the hearted chat. Awesome. We thank you. We love you all. And we really appreciate all the love and support. Definitely something you all have been asking for. So yes, we truly love you. Give you a quick sneak peek of our wonderful
Got some
forward there.
encouraging words in there
There's
for
some
you all.
encouraging words to start you off, and a couple of other little treats will be in your packages for you.
You
So,
can write in your journal and drink
yeah,
out of your coffee mug from the heart of chat at the
yes,
same
yes, yes.
time and listen to the podcast. Look at that.
Ooh, this
Look
Jeanette
at
has
that.
the hug. So look at that is the perfect pairing. Look at
It
Yes,
is. It
the
is.
perfect
definitely.
pairing. So we're very, very excited. And
Yes.
coming up also around the Christmas, New Year holidays, we'll have some special holiday bundles. So stay tuned for more on that as well. Meanwhile, journal ship this week. So
Yeah, so
very
use your
happy.
journals, write
Yeah.
out your non-negotiables,
Mhm.
write
Yeah.
out like set your boundaries,
Yes.
all those things. And
Write out
practice
your
things.
focus areas, all of those. So
Mhm.
yes, yes, yes.
Love
Well,
it.
I think Shauna, we talked about this earlier before we started recording this episode. You had a great book recommendation. I want you to share it with our folks here.
Yes, yes. So we mentioned it in the episode. We'll mention it. It is Shonda Rhimes, which many people know Shonda Rhimes is noted for writing some spectacular shows out there, which I'm sure Linda can name a few.
What do you call them? What was Thursdays called, Linda?
It was Thursdays. Was it How
Oh,
to Get Away? No, How to Get Away with
no, but they
Murder?
had a name for like that Thursday.
It
Like,
Oh
did.
yeah, yeah, it did. It did. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. Oh, I
That's
know what it is.
okay. Name some
Yeah.
shows, Linda.
Oh my goodness. So Shonda Rhimes. So
Grey's
Grey's
Anatomy.
Anatomy. Yep. I believe she did How to Get Away with
How
Murder.
to Get Away with
Yes. How to
Murder,
Get Away with
Yeah.
Murder.
Scandal.
Scandal,
Scandal.
yes, Scandal, and it was a catchy phrase for Thursdays, and I can't think of it. If I remember it, and we will find it, we'll drop it in the show notes.
Yeah, yes. I
Yeah,
know my mom is probably shouting it out right
yeah, yeah.
now. So that's the Shonda Rhimes whose book
Yeah.
that we suggest is called Year of Yes. I think did all three of us read it, right? Did you?
Yeah, I have it in my
Yeah,
book. That's
I did the
really good.
audio. Yep.
Yes.
It's a book that you.
TGIT. Thank
Mhm.
God it's Thursday.
Oh, yes, TG.
Good
Oh, yeah.
job.
There we go.
Good
Thank you,
job.
Jeanette.
How did we not know that?
I
How
know.
did we not remember that? Yeah, the Year of Yes. So that book will give you some insights on how Shonda went around a whole year of saying yes to herself and saying no to what didn't serve her. It's a really good read. It's something that you would go back to. So
Yeah, for sure. I would love to read it again. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
it's really
also
good.
go
I
ahead.
definitely read it again.
I think we should probably talk about that. I would love to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also had a book recommendation for this week.
All
So it's
right.
something that we started reading, ladies, the three of us, back in the May time frame, right
Oh,
after, y'all remember, right after we announced we were gonna go out with this podcast, The Power of Positive Energy.
oh
Oh, I was
yes,
supposed to
I
say the power of positive. I did that with
work.
that power.
That's a good
there
read.
we go.
Yes, The Power of Positive Energy. Yes, by Tanaj Chubb,
Mhm.
CHUBB.
Finish that.
Yeah, and I didn't finish it, but it's a really
Got
good.
highlights
Good.
all
I
in
think,
there. Look at that.
yeah, I read maybe the first few
I
couple
did
of
that in the
chapters.
Audible. It's really
Yeah,
good.
it's really good. So I just like the way it started off, and I think having positive energy around you, also exuding positive energy, will kind of help you level set when in the areas of your life when you have to say no or yes, because it's power behind all of that. So I wanted to recommend that this week, and I think, ladies, we should get back on finishing that because I certainly didn't finish it. I need to finish it. So yeah.
I randomly opened it up to this page, which was like divine. It was like the
Mhm.
title of it is "Letting Go of Things That No Longer Serve You."
Look at that.
Yeah, this is when you remove things from your life that no longer serve you, whether it's a job, relationship, or particular way of being. You allow yourself the opportunity to step into a realm of new possibilities. Allows you to enter into a void-like space where you really have the potential to create something new and exciting.
Living
Love
your
it.
life on purpose.
Yes.
And leaving room and
Love
space
it.
for yourself. It's just, yeah.
Yes. Love it.
It's
Love it.
supposed to be. This is what we're supposed to be doing.
Dang,
And it's so, yeah, it's so ironic. I mean, when we
I have
started,
to go back and finish this, Linda.
yeah, let's finish it. Yeah. And it's so ironic when we started reading it, I had to go back to, I was like, when did we buy this book? I bought mine in May. It
You
was
know what
right
happened?
after decision, the
The heart
decision that
attack.
we made. Yeah, it was the decision we made, what, May 4th, May 5th time frame that we were gonna do the podcast. And then I mean, look where we are, stay almost at the end of the calendar year. This just sort of kicked us off. So yeah, definitely want to go back and finish it. Jeanette, what do you have as a takeaway for our audience today?
I would just say when this is gonna be perfect. So when you get your journal, when you get your Ignite Your Fuego journal and you've said yes to something that doesn't feel good, I need you to journal about it. And every time you say yes to something and you're doing something that doesn't feel good, write it down and try to figure out what it is about either that person, that situation, or that thing that made you say, oh yeah, I need to do that, or I need to, whatever, and just reflect on it. Because I think awareness is the biggest thing that a lot of people struggle with. And I think I'm grateful that I'm a lot more self-aware than I used to be. So being able to recognize like what triggers me to say yes to certain people, and and not yes to myself.
Mm,
They're going to
love it,
fake snap,
love
fake
it, love
snap.
it, love it,
I
love
got
it.
it for you, Shauna.
Thank you. That is awesome. Ladies, this was really great. I love this. Love this topic. Lots to share. And yeah, like Jeanette said, journal about it. Let's get these journals, and we're going to be right there with you all, journaling
Yes,
with
ignite
you.
your fuego.
Yes, yes. So, Shada, do you want to tell our audience where to find us, how they can connect with us?
Yes, please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at The Heart of Chat. Don't forget to sign up on our mailing list at our website, which is at The Heart of Chat. And please join us every Mondays for another Meatful Monday, because it's going to be fuego, baby. Come back.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
Thank
All
ladies.
right,
you.
thank you,
Bye,
ladies.
ladies.
Bye.
Get your journal, get your journal, get your journal.
Get the journal.
Journal.
Journal.